Breaking news that's coming in. CCTV footage of Sri Lanka terror attack suicide bomber going into the church has emerged. The footage has been released by regional Sri Lankan channel Siyatha. We had earlier heard a statement from a Sri Lanka minister that the attack in Sri Lanka was retaliation for the New Zealand bombings. Now this footage of Sri Lanka terror attack suicide bomber going into the church has emerged. The footage that has been released by the regional Sri Lankan channel Siyatha. We can see the visuals on the screen, allegedly of the Sri Lankan terror attack suicide bomber. It's visuals of him going inside the church, and he's inside the church, and this has been released by the regional Sri Lankan channel Siyatha. Earlier statement had also come in from the Sri Lankan minister. Let's quickly go across to our editor Niranjan. Niranjan, what is this highlighting?
Well, we know that we know the group that was identified, that has been identified for the attacks across Sri Lanka. In all, there were about 9 to 10 attacks, including the one at the van yesterday where the bombs were being defused by the police. Now, in this video, you can see the attacker, entering the church. And, as described by some of the ministers yesterday in Sri Lanka, and from eyewitness accounts, and one pastor who also went on record to say that this man who was carrying a backpack and had strapped IEDs around him, now he was, they tried to stop him. And they tried to, also, block him. The pastor who has spoken to the local media there, the church pastor who survived the attack, has also said that some of the people who were present there at the church tried to stop him. But in this video, you can see that he's carrying a backpack, and he's seen entering the church. From the time he's entering the premises of the church, you can see him walk in, and while there are a few people who are standing in line in queue to enter the church, he just walks past them, enters the church, and triggers the blast. Now that's where the visual ends. But there is, of course, CCTV footage from other locations as well, which, of course, has not been so far put out by news agencies. But this is one such CCTV footage that has emerged. This is from one of the churches where the attack took place. What we can also tell you is one of the churches, this church, I think, was the St. Sebastian's Church in Negombo. And this footage shows the suspected suicide bomber entering the building moments before the explosion ripped through the building. Now, that was the first image that came in fact, when the attack took place on Sunday of that church and whatever remained of that church hall where the blast took place. But the suspected bomber is seen carrying a backpack. And it seems like prima facie he's strapped with IED. And the suspected bomber has been caught on CCTV. And the group that was behind the attack has already been identified, and the Sri Lankan ministers on record have gone on to say that initial investigation has hinted at the attacks being a retaliation for the New Zealand mosque mosque attacks, and this is the prima facie information that's available. But this is the St. Sebastian internal cameras that have captured this suspected suicide bomber who's seen entering the St. Sebastian's Church in Negombo. This was while the church was filled with Easter Sunday worshippers. A video stops before the bomb is detonated. Now, this is the point where you see him entering, and that's when the video stops. That is perhaps also when the explosion took place. And what was the aftermath? Of course, we've all seen the images of the St. Sebastian Church in Negombo. You see the aftermath where the roof is seen completely devastated. Several bodies were spotted there, including bloodstained benches that were left